disappointing that this is going to be voted down tonight, and that the government are going to pretend that they have all the answers and ignore the voices of the community. Now, Madam Speaker, I just want to be really clear tonight from some of the comments that have been raised. Violence in any form is absolutely not acceptable. Absolutely not acceptable. Violence is not a part of Aboriginal culture, Madam Speaker. Is not a part of Aboriginal culture. Violence is not a part of any culture, Madam Speaker. Our young people need support. They need care. They need opportunity. Opportunity to grow. Opportunity to change their behaviour. Opportunity to live a better, safer and happier life. Some of the young people, Madam Speaker, on the streets have never had these opportunities. They've never had a bed to call their own. They've never had a fridge full of food. They've never known what a life outside of poverty looks like. They've never known what a pathway to a happy life looks like. These are young people who grow up thinking that going to prison is a part of their story. And, Madam Speaker, we have to ask ourselves the serious question: when life for some of our communities is better in prison than it is outside, we should all be ashamed of ourselves. When people think going to prison gives them the opportunity to have tucker in their bellies, to have air conditioning, to have a bed to sleep on, we have a problem as a society in the Northern Territory, Madam Speaker, and there ain't a single person who shouldn't feel ashamed of themselves when that's the position that we have to resolve at tonight. But that's the very truth of it, Madam Speaker. We absolutely need to change the trajectory. If we are going to have a serious conversation about reforming the justice space, we need to change the trajectory of our kids. We must address the social determinants. Housing, giving people a home for the first time, allowing people to live free from violence, away from violent perpetrators, away from overcrowding. Health, getting people help, whether it's mental health assistance, whether it's addressing chronic illness, whether it's helping people work with our communities to understand if children have, learning difficulties. These are social determinants that we have to address. Education is key, absolutely. But punishing parents, fining parents, dragging kids to school and not addressing some of the challenges that they face are not going to fix our problems. Employment, giving people the opportunity to have a job, to actually work every day and feel empowered is important. But again, this government is not interested at that. These are the things that will change our youth justice space. Trauma and intergenerational disadvantage absolutely needs to be addressed if we want to change the face of youth justice in the Northern Territory, Madam Speaker, because that's how we can put our young people on a pathway to success, not a pathway to prison. Now, Madam Speaker, the legacy of youth justice from the CLP. Let's take a moment to think about. The CLP's legacy on youth justice is clear and it's devastating, Madam Speaker. It'll be remembered as a legacy of kids in cages that created a system of trauma rather than healing, that punished children instead of giving them opportunities to grow. Madam Speaker, when you cage a child, strip away their hope, ignore every expert's voice, ignore elders, you're not solving the problem, you are creating it. The CLP knows this, Madam Speaker, and the sad reality is they just don't care. That's what they are doing. That's what each and every day a young person being put in a youth detention centre without any actual tangible program that's helping them is doing. Now, Madam Speaker, reducing crime is more about opportunities and programs. It's not just about punishment. It's about prevention, early intervention and, of course, opportunity. We need early intervention and family support. We need to look at programs for families experiencing hardship, domestic violence and substance abuse. parenting and mentoring support, especially in remote communities, culturally appropriate engagement and programs, community-led initiatives designed with elders and leaders, sports, arts, cultural and leadership programs that strengthen identity and country, diversion and restorative justice, expanding diversionary programs for minor offences, implementing restorative justice processes for repair, harm while keeping young people connected to family and community. Education and employment pathways, flexible learning programs, vocational training, Madam Speaker, apprenticeships and job opportunities to give our young people purpose and pride. Mental health and substance support, access to safe, culturally supported mental health, drug and alcohol programs, trauma-informed care across schools, police and youth services. Spaces, Madam Speaker, for supported community engagement. After-school programs, youth hubs, safe recreational spaces in urban and remote centres, youth engagement officers who connect with young people constructively, not punitively. Madam Speaker, we cannot arrest our way out of youth crime. We cannot ignore the root causes. We cannot cage children and hope that the next generation will somehow be stronger. Our young people deserve hope, opportunity and care. Our communities deserve safety, respect and justice. Our territory deserves a system that supports and rehabilitates and empowers young people, not one that continues to harm them. If we act now with programs that are community-led, culturally safe and trauma-informed, we can change the story. We can break the cycle of disadvantage. We can give every child a chance to thrive. Violence is not the answer. Cages are not the solution. Every child deserves to live a life full of hope. We owe it to our kids, our community and our future to do better. The establishment of a select committee, Madam Speaker, provides an important platform for territory organisations, for communities, for victim survivors to all have an opportunity to express how they feel, to provide opportunities and solutions to change the nature of youth justice in the Northern Territory. We do need to look at rolling out more programs. Positive behaviours. The member for Drysdale did talk about reaffirming positive relationships, and that is absolutely important. I do agree with him on that. We do need to look at having programs in school to talk about and normalise behaviours. You can be a man and you can do different roles. You can share different roles. You can be a woman and do different roles. We need to break down the stereotypes, Madam Speaker. This is important. These are why initiatives like Boys Can, Girls Can should be rolling out across every Territory school to normalise and give kids the opportunity to know that they can do whatever they want. If a boy wants to be a hairdresser or a makeup artist, let him. If a girl wants to be a mechanic or an engineer or an electrician, then she should be able to. We need to remove those barriers and those gender norms that say to people that they can't do it because of their sexuality or their gender, Madam Speaker. This is the importance of rolling out these important programs. Now, I absolutely acknowledge that I would absolutely love to see more programs being supported, like Brother to Another, a fantastic program rolling out across the Northern Territory that is making an absolute difference. More alternatives to custody. Labor stood up the Lifestyles Camp in Alice Springs and the Groot Island Healing Centre. They are absolutely changing lives. Now, the Corrections Minister had the opportunity to talk about what was happening in this space, but he didn't. We need more than a weekend camp to change people's behaviours. We need programs that absolutely empower young people, that give them the time to sit down, to talk with community organisations, with elders, with leaders, with respected people in our community. Let them feel comfortable to talk about it. We need to continue to look at rolling out restorative justice practices. We need to equip our young people with more skills to mediate conflict situations amongst young people in our communities. Madam Speaker, the Corrections Minister came in and delivered a very ordinary speech tonight. It's very underwhelming, nothing in it new, nothing in it going to change the trajectory of young people. They came in and they changed the law, they lowered the age of criminal responsibility, but they've not been able to tell us how many people, since that legislation has changed, have ended up in the criminal justice system. So, Madam Deputy Speaker, this is an opportunity tonight to bring people together, to hear from the experts about how we can provide positive change in our communities. So I ask members, don't be afraid. Support this motion. It's absolutely providing a platform to do things better, and it's elevating the voices of our community. We were elected to represent the voices of our community. This select committee would amplify those voices and give people the chance to put a solution. Don't let your legacy be one of kids in cages.
Are there any other speakers?